Prince Louis appeared at this year's Easter service with a presence that made many observers take a second look. Gone were the familiar playful expressions, replaced instead by a surprising sense of composure. In my view, this wasn't simply a child growing up in the usual way, but perhaps an early sign of how the royal family is beginning to shape the public image of its younger generation. Was it merely a practical decision influenced by the weather, or a carefully considered signal? And if so, what are we really witnessing here? The moment unfolded during the royal family's traditional Easter service at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Prince William and the Princess of Wales arrived with their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, drawing the usual attention from the crowds gathered nearby. Prince Louis, now 7 years old, didn't behave the way audiences have come to expect. There were no exaggerated expressions, no spontaneous gestures that usually light up social media. Instead, he seemed attentive, measured, almost thoughtful. And then there was his outfit. Dressed in a tailored navy suit, Prince Louis looked strikingly formal for his age. But what truly sparked conversation wasn't the suit itself, it was the trousers. Full-length trousers, worn confidently, in a setting where tradition usually dictates something quite different. Here's where it gets interesting. In British aristocratic tradition, young boys, especially in royal circles, typically wear shorts for formal daytime occasions. It's not just about style, it's a centuries-old signal of youth and status. Trousers, on the other hand, are seen as a quiet marker of growing up, a step toward maturity, a shift in how a young royal is presented to the world. So when Prince Louis appeared in trousers at just 7, people didn't see it as just a wardrobe choice. They saw a message. Now this isn't completely without precedent. Prince George, now 13, began transitioning into trousers around the age of 8, although he had worn them on certain formal occasions even earlier. But his shift felt gradual, almost carefully staged over time. With Prince Louis, the change felt earlier, and perhaps a little more deliberate. The UK experienced unusually cold weather over the Easter weekend, making shorts a less comfortable option, especially for a child expected to stand outdoors for extended periods. So yes, practicality likely played a role. But even then, the decision still stands out. Because practicality and symbolism often go hand in hand within the royal family. And Prince Louis wasn't the only one adapting. Princess Charlotte incorporated warmer elements into her outfit, while Prince George's appearance reflected his age and increasingly defined public role. Together, the three children presented something quite powerful. A family evolving in real time, balancing tradition with modern reality. But let's go back to Louis for a second. Because beyond the outfit, it was his behavior that really shifted the narrative. In previous public appearances, Louis has been, well, delightfully unpredictable. Whether pulling faces on the Buckingham Palace balcony, or reacting with unfiltered honesty during major events, he's become something of a fan favorite for his authenticity. People loved that about him. It made him relatable, human, refreshingly real. Which is why this Easter felt different. He wasn't performing. He wasn't reacting impulsively. He was present, engaged, and noticeably more aware of his surroundings. And that's not a loss of personality, it's a sign of growth. Public appearances like these are often described as a kind of informal training ground for young royals. A space where they gradually learn expectations, responsibilities, and the unspoken rules of royal life. And what we may have witnessed here is the beginning of that process becoming more visible. Prince Louis' appearance fits perfectly into that narrative. A small step that hinted at something larger. A young royal beginning to understand his place, in his own time, and in his own way. In my opinion, moments like this strike a chord because they feel real. Watching Prince Louis in this moment, there's a sense of quiet transition, not just in appearance, but in awareness. It also reflects something deeper about how the royal family is approaching the next generation. And honestly, that balance might be exactly what keeps the monarchy relevant. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just about trousers. It was about a shift, gentle, almost imperceptible, but significant nonetheless. A reminder that growing up doesn't always arrive with a grand announcement. Sometimes, it shows up in the smallest details. A quieter expression. A more composed presence. A different choice of clothing. And suddenly, without realizing it, a new chapter has already begun. So the question now is, what comes next? Because if this Easter was any indication, Prince Louis is no longer just the cheeky youngest royal we've all come to adore. What do you think? Was this simply a practical choice, or are we witnessing the early signs of Prince Louis growing into his royal role? And if you enjoy these deeper royal insights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next chapter might arrive sooner than we expect.